Alexa, what is the time right now?
The time is 6:08 p.m.
Alexa, tell me a joke.
How did the zombie lower his cholesterol? He changed his diet to strictly vegetarians.
So that's Amazon's Alexa, guys. So today's video we shall be building our own Alexa, probably in 30 lines of code or maybe 40. So let's get started. So let's build this application from scratch and see how the end product looks like.
So let's get started, guys. For this particular session, we shall be using a couple of libraries. One of them is pywhatkit, which is nothing but a text-to-speech library. Let me show you the documentation as well. Now, this is nothing but it's a text-to-speech conversion library in Python. So that's quite important if we are trying to build something called as Alexa. For apart from that, we shall also be using speech recognition because ultimately we are going to build some model. We are going to build some application which is taking speech as an input, right? So for that, speech recognition is very much important. Apart from that, we will also be downloading PyAudio. So I'll just name it here, PyAudio. Now to download PyAudio, what you have to do is I'll just share the commands in the description below. Okay. Apart from that, there are some other libraries as well, pywhatkit and pyjokes and Wikipedia. And we shall also be using some open weather API. So for that, I will be talking about in details once we move ahead. So let's get started quickly. So basically what we need to do is we need to create a listener. So listener equals to, we have defined speech recognition as SR. So our listener equals to SR dot recognizer. So I'm creating a try block with SR dot microphone as source because that's going to be our input, right? Because I have to share some input and then only I'll get some output, right? So my input is nothing but my coming from the microphone. So let's try to print something so that we can see whether the bot is responding or not, at least if we are going in the right direction or not. So print start speaking. So I will define a variable called as voice equals to listener dot listen what the source value. Okay. And after that, I will define a command variable command equals to listener dot recognize. You can see recognize Bing, recognize Google Cloud. There are a lot of applications, there are a lot of methods inside it. So I shall be using recognize Google. What? I will recognize the voice, the incoming voice. And then obviously when we start talking to Alexa or Siri or Google Home, it identifies that we are calling him or her based on some keywords, right? Let's say Alexa doesn't respond if you don't tell the word keyword, don't tell the keyword Alexa. So you always have to start talking with Alexa, do this, Alexa, do that. So in that case, what we will be doing is we will print if Alexa in command print command. So let's try to print the command which we are providing to Alexa. Okay, this is a very basic command and I will just close the try and accept block. Accept means basically the error handling part. So I'm just passing it. So any error, it will just pass. Now, obviously when we start talking about, we start providing an input and my input is a sentence. So definitely it starts with a bold character, right? So the basics of NLP is that NLP is based on a lot of concepts like tokenization and we have to do some data cleaning when we deal with that, right? So my first sentence, whichever sentence I speak, let's say, hey, how are you? So it's going to be read like this. Hey, how are you? So definitely my first letter is going to be capitals. So what we need to do is we need to convert our command to command dot lower. Okay, so let's try to run this. Start speaking. Okay, it didn't read because Alexa is not there in my command. So I'll do it again. Alexa, how are you? See, it's able to print my command. So it's taking an input from my microphone and then it is able to print it out. So once we have done with the printing part, what is the next step which comes? After printing, we need to pass the engine, the engine which we will be creating, and that will do some activities, right? So what we need to do is we need to create some engine here. Let me write down the program for that. Engine equals to, I'll call my text to speech conversion. Engine equals to pyttsx3.init. So I'm initializing the engine. And let's say I'm just trying to print something. I am your bot. And let's say, how can I help you? Help you. And then there is some method called as engine.run and wait. Okay, so let me run this and see whether the engine is telling me something or not. Okay.
Your bot. How can I help you?
Alexa, how are you? So now you can see the bot is responding. The bot is telling me something, but our next step is going to be passing the command to the bot and asking the bot to do something, right? Okay, my next step is that the bot is telling me in male voice. So what I need to do is I need to have a female voice because I'm interacting with Alexa and I want a female voice. So what I need to do is I need to create, I need to do some lines of change, like 1 or 2 lines of change. I'll define a variable called as voices. So let's try to see if there are some properties in engine which is possible for the engine to speak in a female language. Okay, so there is something called as get property. So what we need to do is get property. I will get the voices property. Now, if you're not familiar with engine, you can definitely go to the documentation of pyttsx3 and then see what are the different methods it has inside it and what each method means, right? So as we already know, so I'm going to define the engine here, and after engine is defined, engine.get property, and here I will set the property engine.set property, the which property, the voice property, as voices one.id. Okay, and then I will ask the engine to say, I am your bot, how can I help you? So let's run this program.
I am your bot. How can I help you?
Alexa, how are you? Okay, so now you can see it's I mean, now the voice has been changed from a male voice to a female voice. Our next task is to make it we have to create some function so that we can store the engine characteristics. So I'll define a function engine talk and I will pass some text into it, and before that I will just engine dot say what text and then engine dot run and wait. So I'm just going to close it, remove it. Now let's try to see whatever text we are passing or whatever text we are telling, is the engine able to respond or not. So in that case, what changes we need to do here? We have defined the engine talk, but we are not calling this engine talk, right? So what we need to do is I'll define it as user commands colon, I'll do what indentation, and here I've defined the user commands. Our next step is going to be creating a function which is like what Alexa needs to do. So run Alexa, I will define some methods here. I will call command equals to user commands. If I'm telling that the text which I'm speaking has a word called as play. Okay, so what we need to do? We need to remove it. Now, if play in command, I will call the engine talk. what the engine is going to talk? Playing command. Okay. And then I will define else engine talk, my bad, colon, else engine talk, I could not hear you properly. Okay, and then I will call my run Alexa. So let's try to run this program. I will just okay, let's try to run this. We have defined our engine talk where we are passing the text engine.say text, engine.run and wait. Here we have defined our user commands that whatever input we are providing, it has to return that. So okay, one good thing is that we haven't returned here. So we have to return command. Okay, so whenever this function is called, whenever user_commands is called, it is going to return the command. So when we are running Alexa, command equals to user commands. So if we are telling play something, so it will tell me playing something, right? So let's try to run this and see. Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing Alexa, play City Slums.
Okay, so what it is doing is it is telling me playing Alexa. Let's try to print it. Let's try to print the command and see what exactly it is being passed. Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing Alexa, play City Slums.
So what we need to do is, first of all, we have Alexa and we have play in the command. So we have to remove them. So how to remove them? We have to call something here, command equals to command dot replace Alexa. Okay, similarly, I'll have to call this here, print command equals to command dot replace play, and then I will call the print command. New command is okay, and then let's run this again. Alexa, play City Slums.
I could not hear you properly.
Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing City Slums.
Now you can see that now it is telling me that playing City Slums. Okay, if you want to print this, it is quite possible to see as well by, I mean, it's better to interpret, right? So the bot is telling us playing something. Okay, let's try to run this. Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing City Slums.
Okay, so initially before this, what happened was the command was Alexa, play City Slums. Now, obviously, we cannot pass this entire character as a command, right? So we have to remove Alexa, we have to remove play. So Alexa has to play City Slums. This has to be the character which Alexa needs to do. So that is the reason what we have done is we have replaced our Alexa as null, as in a blank character, and our play as a blank character. That's the reason you can see that the bot is telling us playing City Slums. Okay, now that is done. I will just comment it out. Now what we need to do is we need to pass this command so that Alexa can do something. What if Alexa can open this new music in some application, let's say Spotify or YouTube or Ghana.com or anything? So that is quite possible. So let's try to integrate some library and see if Alexa is able to play this music in YouTube or not. Okay, so for that I was talking about pywhatkit. So you will be importing pywhatkit. I will just run this. Done. Now here what we need to do is I need to call my pywhatkit here. After my engine talk, I will call pywhatkit. Now, what is pywhatkit? You can easily go through the documentation and understand. So it does multiple activities, sending WhatsApp messages, playing some music, something like that. If you just click on dot, you can see there are a lot of activities inside it. Cancel shutdown, headless PWK, play on YouTube. Okay, send WhatsApp message to group. A lot of things are there. So we will be using play on YouTube command. Now what? Okay, let's just change it to song. Song equals to this, playing song, and we will pass song. Okay, so let's try to implement this and see whether Alexa is able to open this music or not in YouTube. Okay, and once this is done, once this task is accomplished, we just need to copy paste this piece of code for multiple other stuffs. If something equals to something, if something equals to something. Now, what it does is if my input text, which my input speech has this particular word, we are asking Alexa to do these kind of steps. Okay, so I'll just Control Z and we will do it. So let's try to run this piece of code. Alexa, play City Slums.
I could not hear you properly.
Okay, my bad. Alexa, play. Okay. Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing City Slums.
That's amazing. So Alexa is able to open it in YouTube and it is able to play the music. Anyways, let's get started and let's go ahead with the next part. So playing stuff is done. So Alexa is able to play it on YouTube. Now, what else? Now let's try to play some copyright free music. I do have some names. Alexa, play Chill Summer Vlog.
Playing Chill Summer Blog.
It was vlog, but nice. So it's a no copyright music. So I don't think there will be a problem if I play this music in my channel. Okay, I'll leave the music link in the description below in case you want to listen that. So let's get started. So let's get ahead with the next piece of code. Our next piece of code is, let's try to do the same thing for time and weather. Okay. Okay. So if I have a command called as time, like Alexa, what is the time? So Alexa has to tell me the current time, current local time. So what needs to be done here? I'm going to define, I'm just changing this piece of code. I'm going to define time equals to, so in Python, we already know that the current time can be fetched using datetime.now, right? In order to do that, we have to import datetime. I'll just run this code. Now, time equals to datetime.now. Here, I just have to do some minor changes. I have to strafe it down. Let's say H, M, S. That's it. And then I will pass the engine talk. The current time is okay. Let's try to run this. Alexa, what is the time?
The current time is 16:36:30.
Okay, so it's telling me that the current time is 16:36 colon something. So we have to change, we have to do some minor changes here. I just want to implement the AM/PM part and I just want to ignore the 12-hour format. So in order to do that, I will just do some simple changes. I don't want the seconds. Instead of that, I will just implement the whether it is AM or PM. Okay, so let's run this code. Alexa, what is the time right now? Okay. Alexa, what is the time right now?
The current time is 04:37 p.m.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I think we have done a good amount of job here. So after we get the time part, so next part is going to be what else? Let's say we can implement okay, so let's try to implement something from the Wikipedia. So if we are asking Alexa, tell me some details about who this person is. Okay, so in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to import one library called as Wikipedia. Now, once we imported that library, we can call and we can get the details from the Wikipedia page itself. Now, the prerequisite for that is the person profile or the company's profile has to be there in the Wikipedia page. So let's try to import Wikipedia, and here I will just write if who is in command. Okay, what's next? I will define my variable here. Name equals to command dot replace. Again, similar piece of code. I'm just replacing, let's say I'm asking who is Roger Federer. So our input to the engine should be Roger Federer. It shouldn't be who is Roger Federer, right? Something like that. So I'm just replacing it with who is to a space, and then let's get the information from Wikipedia. So info equals to Wikipedia dot, let's say what are the different library, what are the different methods under it. Okay, we can use summary of name. Let's try to do this. Let's print info and pass this info to here. I think just info is fine. Okay, just engine info is fine. Okay, let's try to run this. Alexa, who is Sachin Tendulkar? Okay, something.
𝗟𝐶𝗫𝐿
Oh.
Born April 24th, 1973, is an Indian former international cricketer who served as captain of the Indian national team.
That's nice. So Alexa is able to do that. Alexa is able to get the information from Wikipedia and give it back to us. Apart from that, what else can be done? So all the things which is quite possible has to be embedded here, and accordingly you can implement your piece of code. Okay, so let's try to go to the next line, and play is done, time is done. Okay, let's implement one joke. So let's say I'm asking Alexa to play some joke. So it can easily do that as well. So there is a library called as pyjokes. So what we need to do is we need to directly call engine talk pyjokes dot get joke. Simple. Let me, okay, I have to import it. Import pyjokes. Okay, let's run this. Alexa, tell me a joke.
Number of days since I have encountered an array index error, -1.
Okay, that was funny. Okay, so our next part is going to be one of the important thing is implementing the weather thing. So weather is something which was really tough to implement because readily available libraries are not present in the market right now. So in order to get the current weather, let's say I want the current weather of my current city. So there are two things which is possible. Obviously, I cannot do this piece of code in a single line. So what I did is I just did some Google research. That's where I got to know about an API called as Open Weather API. Okay, so if you want to use this API, I mean, this is not a paid article or a paid promotion, something like that. Just for our sake of activity, we have to create an account here. And once you have created your account in the Open Weather map, you have to go to API keys, and you can get the key. Obviously, you cannot use this key as in an enterprise level. You can use it for your developer purpose if you are doing some certain number of calls to this API, quite possible. But you cannot use it, and you cannot do tons and tons of calls, right? So the code for this piece of activity, I have already written that. So I will just copy paste this code. I mean, I got this directly from Google. So I will just write it down here, somewhere here. Okay. And I will just walk you through the program, walk you through the code piece so that you understand. So I'm just importing the requests and JSON. So what it is doing is we have defined a function. We are defining the API key. Now what we need to do is we have to use our own API key. So tomorrow, if you are reusing this piece of code, you have to generate your API key. Okay. Once I make this code public, I'll just I'll just keep it as like this API key. So you have to use your own API key. I'll not provide my API key. Okay. And base URL is something like this. So what it does is it gives a call to base URL. It gives a call here, base URL, and then &q, and then the name, let's say New York. So something like that, and it gives you a call. So it goes to that particular location and gets the attributes. So it returns a response object, which is nothing but a JSON object. From your return response, you have to bypass the parameters which you want. Let's say you want temperature, you want precipitation, you want humidity. Accordingly, you have to get those things. So as you can see, these yellow things are basically not used. So I'm just marking it as hash. I'm just commenting it out. I don't want this. This is the entire piece of code. You can reuse it, but for our simplicity, what I have done is I have just taken the temperature and I am returning the current temperature. So here I will implement this thing. I will call my weather function and I will try to get the output. So obviously, my bad, I have been doing something wrong. Else if. How dumb. Okay, else if weather in command. Okay, I'll directly we can do something like this. Weather API equals to, I will have to call weather and then New York, or let's say Hong Kong. Not pretty sure. I have tested it for New York. It was working. But let's see weather of this, weather of city. And then I have to pass this as here. Okay, let's try to run this. Let's see what is the output. So what is the weather in Hong Kong?
291.68.
Okay, so it's giving me an output in Fahrenheit. You can do this as an activity. What I will do is I will just pass here weather API, engine talk weather API, and then I will call my plus Fahrenheit, degree Fahrenheit. Okay, so let me run this. Alexa, what is the weather in Hong Kong?
291.68 degree Fahrenheit.
Okay, that's cool. So it's able to interpret. Now, obviously, if you have to change the code, change the Fahrenheit degree to Celsius, just have to implement a small piece of code here. You have to take this return statement, take this particular variable. You just have to convert it into Celsius. You have to just do some mathematical things, 32 into something. And let's say we can also do this, but yeah, it's going to take time. You can do this as an activity, not a big deal. Now, the next part is that we have hard coded here the weather. So we want the weather of a particular location. So what we can do here is rather than doing a hard code like rather than calling it for Hong Kong, even if somebody asks that what is the weather in Mumbai, so again it's going to tell you the weather of Hong Kong, because we are passing the city is being Hong Kong, right? So weather, the city is Hong Kong. So how to make it automated? What we can do is engine talk, please tell the name of the city. Okay, now once the bot tells what is the name of the city, what we need to do is city equals to user commands. So I'm calling the user commands. So whatever city I am going to tell, I'll just keep it here and I'm going to pass the city here. Okay, not pretty sure if it will run or not. Obviously it should run. So let's try it. Alexa, what is the weather?
Please tell the name of the city.
Mumbai. So everything has been implemented. Apart from that, what we need to do is, let's say I'm going to call. Oh, obviously, what is happening right now is after every call, it is getting closed. It is getting shut down. So what we need to do is a small piece of code, while true, then run Alexa. Okay. Alexa, what is the time? Alexa, what is the time? Alexa, what is the time?
The current time is 04:49 p.m.
Alexa, play City Slums.
Playing City Slums.
So, I mean, you can see that right now, Alexa is doing a good job. So it is not getting closed after every run. So apart from that, what else we can do? We can also implement one more else if block, something like this. Else if, let's say I have a keyword called as stop Alexa. So it should exit here. So I'll call my system function sys dot exit. Import sys. Okay. So let's do this. Alexa, what is the weather?
Please tell the name of the city.
Hong Kong.
291.68 degree Fahrenheit.
Alexa, stop. Okay, so I think it's doing a good job, and it is able to interpret our user commands, and so this is how we have created our new Alexa. I already know that this piece of code might have already been shared across multiple YouTube channels, and you might have got this from various other GitHub repositories as well. But this is my piece of code. I have written it with some minor tweaks. I have implemented the weather API. So the next step which I'm going to take, which I'm not sure if anybody has done or not. So I'm going to take this piece of code and I'm going to create an application out of it. Now, obviously, if I do this right now in this particular session, it's going to be a very big video. I don't want to extend. I don't want to stretch it out. So I'll keep it open for the next video. So my next video will be taking this application and creating a very beautiful web application, which will be able to take speech as an input and it will act accordingly. And probably in the future sessions, somewhere down the line, maybe we can also work on creating a mobile application out of it. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was quite, it was quite good and quite motivational and informational for you. I tried to make it concise and make it clear so that you understand each and every line out of it. That's it. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe the channel. And